Hi friends, it's Jess with I Bipolar. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, just a little bit about me. I have bipolar 1 and I was diagnosed 25 years ago when I was a sophomore in college. And today is sort of a follow-up on a previous video, which was, should I disclose my bipolar at work and tell my work team about having it? Now, things have definitely changed since that video, so I want to fill you in. But before I do that, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel, like this video if you like it, and comment. I love all the comments and all the advice you give to me and everyone else. So I did that past video back in January, and I'll link it down in the description box. But basically, I was going through just being conflicted about if I should tell my work team about having bipolar, and I kind of go through all the reasons why I wasn't sure if I should, and I kind of came to the conclusion that I wasn't going to say anything to them until there was a good reason to do so. And I have had a good reason come up. In March, I started working on a committee planning a conference in July, and it's for the journal publishing industry, and I work as an assistant managing editor on a couple scientific journals. So I was on that committee, and I found out that my supervisor wanted to see if I wanted to be a speaker for one of the sessions. It was going to have to do with publishing, but also with mental health. And she knew that I was a speaker for NAMI, but as far as I was concerned, she didn't know exactly what I spoke on for NAMI. So she forwarded me an email saying some things, and I'll read you that email. She was talking about me to another committee member, and she said, Jess has done a lot of speaking work with NAMI about her own experience with bipolar disorder. So the mental health aspect of this session is very appealing to her. So when I saw this, it was like my head exploded, because I thought, my supervisor knows I have bipolar? Like, what? How is this possible? And I thought, well, of course, it's very possible, because there are other coworkers at my organization who know that I have bipolar, just none on my work team. And also, obviously, I have this YouTube channel. I have social media where I talk about living with bipolar disorder. So I thought, well, maybe that's how she found out. So it just so happened that I had a one-on-one meeting with her later that day, which we do these like every 2 weeks. So it just happened to be that day. And I thought, I'm just gonna ask her. She already knows I have bipolar. I'm just gonna ask her, and I'm gonna find out if the rest of our work team knows, like if she had mentioned it before or not. So I asked her, and much to my surprise, she told me that I had told her. Yeah, I had told her pretty early on in working with her, which meant that she had known for over a year. I have no recollection of telling her this. I do remember thinking about telling her, and I guess I just did tell her. It must have come up at some point in another one-on-one meeting, and I completely blocked it out from my memory. I probably told her much too soon for me to feel comfortable, and I just completely blocked it out. So she had known pretty much the whole time. She had known me, which is fine, but I just didn't realize that. So things like this happen, So I did ask her, like, does the rest of the work team know? And she said that she, as far as she was concerned, she had not told them. She felt that it was my place to tell them if I wanted to, which I agreed. So what happened was I agreed to be a part of this mental health session at this July conference. Now, I wasn't sure if bipolar would definitely come up, or if maybe we would just be talking about mental health in general. As of now, which it is now mid-June, I still haven't had a planning session, so I still don't know for sure what I'll be talking about, but I had to fill out my speaker bio for this conference, and I kind of like hemmed and hawed and then decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna mention that I speak out about bipolar, that I have this YouTube channel in my bio, and I'm just gonna use this as sort of my first opportunity to combine speaking about my work experiences along with having bipolar and how bipolar does affect work. Of course it does. So then what happened was, kind of no one saw that bio. It wasn't all that important. And then it turns out, so I was working on planning another session at that conference that I would be moderating. And so I had some people we were meeting with regularly to work on this other session. It was actually a session about, how to write for the web. The session is going to be done by a couple of former coworkers of mine. And one of them brought up the fact that I have bipolar and that I was going to be speaking in this other session and like how brave it is of me to do that. And it just so happens that another person on my work team, I'll call him John, he is also planning that session with me. So he heard that I have bipolar, and I wasn't sure if he already knew. There are a number of ways he could have already known. So after the meeting, I messaged him on Teams chat, and I just said, hey, I don't know if you already knew about the bipolar thing. Sorry if that was a shock to you. Like, I hope, everything's cool, basically. And of course, like, here I am trying to make someone else feel comfortable with the fact that I have bipolar. But and it was kind of funny because it was Friday afternoon and he didn't see it before he signed off, so he didn't reply, which I figured is what happened. But on Monday morning, he's like frantically messaging me and saying, I hope you realize that I didn't see the message, and it wasn't because I was uncomfortable with what you wrote, but he was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had bipolar. And he was just sort of talking about how our work team is really great about prioritizing mental health and taking time off for that reason, and I agreed with him. Actually, to backtrack just a little bit, about a week before John found out about me having bipolar, I had met with my psychiatrist, and I said, my work team is going to find out at this July conference that I'm speaking at that I have bipolar, and I think the right thing to do is to tell them ahead of time and show respect. And also, this is something I would tell them eventually. It's more complicated because it's work, but if these people had been my friends outside of work, I would have told them already. And my psychiatrist and I agreed that we should wait. I have a conference coming in June, and then the one I'm speaking at in July. So we agreed, let's get through the conference in June, and then we come back, tell them in July before, speaking out about bipolar. But because John found out about me having bipolar, and at this point my supervisor, who I'll call Anne, she already knew as well. There was only one other person left on the work team who probably didn't know. So that week after John had found out, so John found out on Friday, I spoke with Anne, my supervisor, on Monday, and I said, I would like to say something to the entire team. Can you help me with that? We had a meeting set for the next day. Said at the end of the meeting, could you say something to get me started? Like Jess says something she would like to say to all of us, something like that, which she did at that meeting on Tuesday. And so kind of what I said, if I can remember it, was basically, in case you don't already know, I have bipolar disorder, and you might be wondering how this affects me at work, and mostly it doesn't. If you know anything about bipolar, the hallmark of bipolar disorder is having manic episodes. And I told them, I haven't had a manic episode, a full-blown manic episode, for about 17 years. So longer than I've worked at this company. And I do have mild symptoms at times, but I'm very careful to, take medication and practice self-care. And I also, because we have so much vacation time, I do take vacation time proactively. And sometimes I do that even when I'm not going on a trip, just to make sure I get enough rest. And when it does affect me at work, it's sort of like when you have a bad day or you didn't get enough sleep and you're really tired and maybe your concentration is off. That's sort of what it's like for me when I have these more mild symptoms. But, you know, I'm very open about bipolar. Obviously, you know that I speak for NAMI and this is what I speak about. And I also have a YouTube channel, and I gave them the link and I said, you know, if you're interested and you want to take a look, great. If not, totally fine. But I did want to let you know ahead of this conference in July, because I'm going to be, you know, talking about having bipolar. And, you know, this isn't a secret. So if you already knew in some other way, that's totally fine. And that was basically it. And they all seemed to take it pretty well. You know, I was doing this over Teams. I wasn't in person, so it's a little uncomfortable. But then I saw 2 out of 3 of them at that conference in June. Everything was cool. And there were a couple times that bipolar came up, but it was, you know, of my doing. I was just mentioning like, oh, I can't go out after this dinner meeting. Like, I need to get some sleep. I might not have even said because of bipolar, but I think, you know, they got it. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. I just told the entire work team. They seem to take it very well and kind of just take it in stride. And I'll just have to see how I feel going forward. And if I feel it's, you know, ever used against me in any way. I really don't think so. And also something I talk about more in the other video that's linked down below is, you know, whether or not I would disclose bipolar to HR. I mean, in that case, you know, you don't have to say that it's bipolar. You could just say I have a medical condition and I require accommodations. At this point, I'm still not going to do that because I don't need any accommodations, but I would do that if I needed to. And in the future, there's a possibility of that because I will have to change medications at some point. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I did the right thing? Do you think I did the wrong thing? Do you think I should not be speaking out at a work conference about having bipolar? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that either, but let me know your thoughts. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.